In this video, traders, we're going to look at, is it really worth it to become a trader? Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. All right, so is it really worth it to become a trader? Let's look at some of the pros and look at some of the cons. It's worth noting, guys, that we only really become traders because we love it. It's such a challenging career that unless you absolutely love the business, love the game, love the process, no one is going to stick through the kind of ups and downs that you have to go through in your early years to get to a point where actually, it becomes worthwhile doing. And the other thing to point out is that there's never any guarantee of that. In some ways, if you get through, let's say, medical school, or if you go and you do a commercial pilot's license, you are probably going to be guaranteed some kind of job. Yes, I say that loosely and broadly, depends on the circumstances, depends on the economy, of course. But if you do, let's say, CPO, commercial pilot's license, then most of the time, maybe not immediately, you're going to become a pilot. So as long as you do those things and you pass those exams and you do what you need to do, you will get to be what you want to be. Unfortunately, even with trading, you can put all the years in and all the effort in, and you still might not get to where you want to be. So there is that issue. But anyway, let's go back to the point, which is it worth it to become a trader? Some pros and cons. So some on the yes side, pretty obvious. It's very rewarding financially, or it can be very rewarding financially once you finally get some traction, once you finally get some profitability and consistency under your belt. Of course, none of us are naive to the fact of the financial rewards that trading can bring. The other thing is, it's very rewarding kind of psychologically to know you're in the top X%, because many people are struggling with trading. Of course, they're going through their own journey and many of them will make it through, but many people just fall by the wayside and drop. And so it's quite nice to think, well, you're in some of the top X% of that demographic, or that kind of cross-section of society who have tried it and failed. You're one of the elites out there, and that feels quite good. Let's be honest, it's a nice feeling. The other thing is, you become a better person. I think there's no doubt that, assuming you go on the right path, and there are some circumstances where people go down the wrong path and they treat trading like gambling, but I think that gives trading a bad name, because someone could be gambling in a casino or online or whatever, so forget about that. But assuming someone goes down the right path of kind of a journey of a mindset and of thinking about their approach to trades and their psychology and their discipline and all this kind of stuff, and recognizing the swing highs and swing lows and journey, I think that you will become a better person coming out the side, even if you get to a point and decide, you know what, it's not for me, it's taken me too long to get there, and you're being very pragmatic about it, which is absolutely fine as well. I don't think it's very good for people to say, oh, you keep going at it, keep trying at it. At some point, if someone says, hey, listen, I've put the time in, it's not worked as I've wanted, I haven't got where I wanted to be with it, let me go and do something else. We only get one life. Go and do something else. Do something else you enjoy and love. Do something else that's going to be rewarding for you. The markets will always be there. You can always dabble with them. I don't think it's any problem for someone to have done that and say, right, you know what, it's taken me longer than I thought. I'm being very practical approach to this. I want to get to this point, and this is not the vehicle for me. I'm going to do that, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. But some people will, some people won't. Everyone's different. You appreciate your emotions. You definitely start to understand a lot more how your emotions play a part in decision making, how your emotions play a part in your thoughts, and how you can control the way you think. You can't control your emotions. You recognize, there's a human side and a kind of impulsive side and a chimp side of it, as we talk about from the Chimp Paradox book. Recognize that, and it's very clear when you're in an environment like trading. Another thing is, it's better discipline in all areas of life. I truly believe that good traders all have good discipline across a big section of their life. And that's the thing. You recognize how important it is. I don't think sometimes you don't appreciate it, perhaps if you're not in the trading world, how important having control over your urges and your impulses is, and understanding, hey, if I do this and I do this and I do this, I will get reward for it. Sacrifice that short-term gain for long-term success. And the other thing is, some things that aren't so good about it. It is hard to get to profitability. Let's not lie about this or beat around the bush or sugarcoat the pill, guys. It's not easy. It's very challenging to get from the start of your trading career up to a point where you're actually making some money, and even that isn't probably going to sustain you or be a decent amount of money, and then you've got another kind of chunk to move up and up and up. So it is hard. There are other ways. If you are purely looking to make money, there are probably hundreds of better ways of doing it, on getting somewhere. If you're just looking to make money, probably one good way would just be to train yourself up and get into a sector that's just booming, that's got a shortage of kind of workers in that sector, and you can jump straight up to 100 grand, 150 grand very quickly. That might be an easier way. Or start, there's so much easier ways, I think, if you just ask for it for the money, which is why you've got to love the game. You've got to be something you really enjoy, and then the money's like an extra thing. It's like, yes, I'm making good money on it and I enjoy it. Perfect. The second thing, guys, is once you get there, markets change. So the point is that unlike perhaps a career, you progress through, and let's say you've got to 100, 120 grand or whatever it may be, it's very rare, unless something happens drastically, that you're going to suddenly go back down to zero. Yes, people lose their jobs, people get made redundant, but ultimately that skill set probably means, unless the sector's completely wiped out by a change in trend, that you can at least stay relatively at that price level, and there'll be demand for you in another business, another company. Trading doesn't work like that. You could have a monster year where you've made an awful amount of money and you've done very, very well, and the market changes condition, and you then have to work out how you're going to adapt to that. Are you going to adjust your strategy? Are you going to change the market? Are you going to back off and learn a new strategy? What are you going to do? So you can't just sit there and relax, and you can't just sit there and say, well, I've got to this level now, I've made my money this year now, let's use that same analogy, I've made 150 grand this year now, it's going to be like that forever. It doesn't work like that. Next year could be 500, it could be 50, could be 10. You just don't know how it's going to work out. And sometimes it might be multiple years fine, and then you might have the markets change. There's always something there, guys, and you can see that by just looking at hedge fund returns. Hedge fund guys do very, very well, and then all of a sudden, they have a year of drawdown and stuff, and maybe not so pronounced for retail traders, but you get the point. You can't kind of go, that's the line in the sand. You're forced to accept income variability, so you can't kind of bank on the fact that you're going to make X pounds per month, which makes kind of budgeting potentially difficult. You don't know what's going to happen, so you kind of have to make your money and go, right, okay, well, these are my living expenses, this is my money that I'm using to grow my trading account, but not going crazy. I think many traders, we've probably made the mistake that when we had a really good year, we've probably spent more than we should. We've probably gone, oh, it's going to carry on, and then we've realized after that in our early days, it's not always like that. Ooh, and then you kind of push through. So it's budgeting, but being sensible and not saying, well, I've made X amount, I can spend X amount. Unlike perhaps if you're working in an industry where you had a fixed salary, then you can probably spend it, and if you're going to get next year, you can spend it or do whatever you want with it. You need that more of a buffer, so it's quite different. And don't forget, guys, you can lose money in trading. You can get to a point where if you're not careful and you go on tilt and you just go crazy with stuff, you can give stuff back. And I've seen people who have made lots of money and then given it all back again and more. Especially in that dot-com boom, those guys were making lots of money, gave it all back and more, and they're multimillionaires, and they just gave it all back because the regime changed and they didn't adapt to it. What else we got, guys? Once you stop, the money stops. So unlike a business, for example, so even though we say trading, you've got to treat trading like a business, you definitely have to, but unlike a business, those you business owners, know that when we build a business, you actually have income from the business, but then you also have a value to the business. It obviously depends on what the business is and how involved you are with the business, of course. But if you imagine, let's just think of a car repair center, for example. You build that business, you hire employees, you get loyal customers, you've got marketing campaigns at work, you're turning over X amount of money, your profit's X amount of money. When you stop, that business still has a value to somebody. Someone can come in and purchase that business from you, and it's got a value. Unlike trading, you can put all the same effort in and you can be making money, but as soon as you stop, there is zero value to the business, so to speak, because if you're not performing, then you're not going to make any money. Simple as that. Now, of course, if you have an algorithm or something else that's doing that, or then let's say you built a kind of business with proprietary traders on you, but that's different. You know, that's a completely different thing. But from a kind of retail perspective, trading, as soon as you stop trading, you're useless. You've got no value. So it's something to consider. You know, something to consider. The other thing is it's stressful at times. You know, no matter how long you've been in the game, you know, you're going to get stressed from trading. But then again, you get stress from any job, right? Anyone who's been working in a job or running a business, there is always going to be stress. So I don't think this is exclusive to trading, but perhaps it's a little bit more exaggerated because of the money involved. You know, if you're going to work and you're earning, you know, your paycheck, 100 grand, 150 grand, whatever you're earning, and you've got a bit of stress, you're probably not gonna not receive a paycheck at the end of the month. That money's still coming unless you're on some sort of salesman performance or commission or whatever structure. But most people are still getting their salary even if they drop the ball a bit that month. Traders, if you make a mistake that month, not only are you not getting any money that month, but you might also be paying money back. And that's a pretty unusual scenario. So that's why it can add to stress. You know, if you don't get a grip on things, you don't control things, you know, it can kind of get to you a bit. Anyway, guys, those are what I think. Is it worth to become a trader? Yes or no? I still think it's a great business to be in. I think the rewards far outweigh the cons, but it's not for everybody. I understand that. It's not something everybody enjoys. I think you've got to do it in moderation as well. You've got to recognize as well that life is lots of things to do in this life, not just sit in front of the screens in trading. But maybe before you embark on it, just consider some of these things and decide if it's right for you. And of course, the financial risk. You know, we mentioned that at the beginning, but it's worth mentioning at the end. There's a big thing there. You know, there's a lot of financial risk involved in it. But otherwise, great place to be. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a thumbs up is much appreciated. And let me know if you love trading. Comment section below. Take care. Bye-bye.